Shalom, balance, paradise, righteousness, all back up in the lab. One more again, long time overdue build with the sibling D Marble. Welcome to the broadcast, sibling. What do you do, mate?
Thank you for having me on once again. It's been a while.
Yes, most definitely, and so much as we got into a little bit before. So much has taken place since the last time we have built.
Yes, indeed.
So much. Um, Before we get as I like to do, I'm gonna jump in the DeLorean. So we're gonna go back before we get to the present and then talk about the future. So one thing that we didn't really get into much detail in on the last build was van life and how you've been coping, how that experience has been, the trials, the successes. I just wanted to just for you to just go in basically with on some more detail about that.
Okay. All right. Thinking about the W's and all that. Okay, so I got into van life back in 2017, early 2017, around March or so. I got a Chevy or a 1995 Chevy G20, and it has these bench seats in it that are used for beds or storage and all that. Has a solar panel on top, a small kitchenette, solar shower. It was just the right price that I was looking for when it happened. So I've been living out of my van for the most part for the past few years, and I mean it's been working out really nicely. I haven't paid rent since since March 2017, so I was able to save a lot of money. And the money that I use, or the money that I save, I use that to invest and or use that for travel to go see my children. And
Yes.
that's pretty much how that's played out. As far as life in the van, it's all pretty easy, pretty simple when it's warm. But
Yes.
once it starts to cool off outside, man, things get a little bit more hectic. But you find ways to make things work out. I have a sleeping bag in there that I have, and a hot water bottle. So like seriously, in the winter months when it's cold in the evenings,
Yeah.
I have a kettle and just put some water in there, throw it on the fire, heat the water up, put it in that hot water bottle, and then have the hot water bottle in the bottom of the sleeping bag.
Mm.
So as long as your feet are warm, your body can maintain pretty warm temperature. And
I
a
remember
lot
the
of people,
videos, D. I remember the videos that you used to do.
yeah, seriously, there was a couple where I turn the camera on and I'd like peek my head up from under a sleeping bag and you can see my breath coming
Yes.
out. Yeah, seriously. I mean, it's like that sometimes, but it's all good. It's I was a soldier, I was in the Army for 8 years. So uh dealing with that particular situation, it was kind of like being out in the field, and I was in the same state, in the same state. I'm in Washington State in the US. Um, that's where I was at when I was in an infantry unit. We used to do 2-week field exercises, even in the wintertime. So there would be points where we would put up these little pop tents and we would be inside the tent and wake up in the morning and there's like ice on the
Yeah.
outside of the tent. So we're like in there freezing.
Mm.
So, I mean, it was like a pretty easy transition mentally going back to those times. And then I'm in the band. So it's not so bad,
Yeah. A lot
you
more
know?
comforts, a lot more comforts. You've got wisdom as well to add to that as well. So it was excellent preparation in respects, going in those 2 weeks. That's a long period of time.
I know, and they would have us, pack up our rucksack, pack up a couple extra uniforms, some socks, underwear, and you can't always shower, so you're using baby wipes,
Mm.
all that. So, you got to be creative out there. They will give us the MREs. So I mean, you're like
MREs, what's that?
meals ready to eat. So it's
Oh,
like this plastic bag. They'll put this entree in here. It's like this rectangular shaped little box, and they would put a little heater in here. You can pour water into this heater, so it would heat up the entree, like your chili mac or whatever. And you'll have a little peanut butter packet and a little cracker in this vacuum sealed, little thing of Tabasco sauce, all that good stuff. So it's just, you just learn how to
yes.
kind of rough it while you're out there. So then, going through those hardships back in the Army, that actually, it kind of builds up these mental calluses to when you end up in a situation like van life.
Mm.
So I saw living out of my van, I'm like, that's a piece of cake, because I can just turn the heat on in the evening and let the heat blast in the van, put the panels on the window, it traps a little heat in, get in my sleeping bag, I got my hot water bottle, and, it was cake,
Yes.
compared to what I was used to anyway.
Exactly. This is
Yeah.
that's the difference. And as you say, it was excellent foundation support work for, moving into and having the luxury, as you say, to be able to run the engine for 15 minutes and, warm up the cabin. Just out of interest, how well was the cabin insulated? And if not, have you insulated it much after the effect?
It was insulated. It's pretty well insulated. What I would do in the evenings, I have these panels that I put that are like cut out to put on each of the windows. So I got one from the driver's side, passenger side, the windshield in the front. I'll put like one of those like solar screens, you know what I mean,
Yes.
to
Yes.
reflect the sun, but it like keeps the cold air out for the most part. So it's pretty well insulated as far as putting those panels on the windows. As long as I can get them to stay up there, I got to get a little creative as far as how I do that. Got to wedge
Velcro and
them.
all that.
Yeah, exactly. I got to wedge them in there with the two-sided Velcro, and I put a little stick in here to keep the thing from falling out. No, it's interesting times, but it's fun. It's character building. You toughen up when you have to deal with that stuff, but it's all good because I find places in the city where I can just camp out time after time. There's different parking lots that I can just go to and just camp out at night.
Yeah.
And nobody bothers me. Even the police. There's been a couple times where I've been in the parking lot and something will be going on in the parking lot, and the police are like across the parking lot and they see me sitting over there. So I just peek my head out. I'm like, well, if they wanted me, they would say something,
Yes.
So I'm like, yeah, I guess they don't care. So if they don't care, I don't care.
So overall, security-wise, because I've heard some crazy stories that, about people who not necessarily who utilize camp life for, 24/7, 365, but more the people who utilize mobile homes for extended vacations, etc. When they're in these like laybys and, caravan, well, not necessarily caravan parks, but they seem to get attacked, I hear. They get like, maybe this doesn't happen in America, but in Europe, sibling, listen, this is what they're doing. They're rolling up on these vans, and obviously when they're asleep, spraying inside through the ventilation like CS gas or something to incapacitate them, and then going in and robbing them.
Oh, wow.
So you ain't experiencing nothing like that, though.
Knock on wood, nothing like that's happened to me thus far, and God help somebody that tries that, because my sleeping partner wouldn't appreciate that. I can tell you that.
Most definitely defend again. Yes.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a good idea.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. So have we made any? Is there a Mark II to van life? Because I recall, wasn't there like an upgrade that we made?
There was an upgrade actually. So now I have my van. What I do now, because I had a friend who made me an offer. He said, "Hey, if you ever wanted to, camp out at my place, on the weekends or in the evenings, just because I want you to be safe." And I got a lot of people that care about me, and I appreciate them. I appreciate all those people in my life. I really do. And my man Dave, he says, "Hey, if you'd like to camp out at my place, you're more than welcome to do that." And I got in contact with him. I'm like, "Hey, Dave, does that offer still stand? Because I'm thinking about getting a fifth wheel, one of those like travel trailers.
Yes.
And he says, yeah, that's fine. And, we'll clear you up a spot. I'm like, all right, cool. So I helped him clear out a spot. And now I have a camper, a fifth wheel, one of those trailers out on his property. And I go there on the weekends. So Monday through Thursday, I'll stay in the city, camping out in the van, different places. And then on the weekends, I'll, drive out, like Friday evening, I'll drive out there. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, I'm at my trailer, much more comfortable.
In
Oh,
luxury,
oh,
sibling.
oh, it is nice. It's so nice. Yeah. Really nice. And, so I mean, I got a shower, I got a whole kitchen in here, it's really nice. It's really nice. So that's my bachelor pad on the weekends.
The chill out spot.
Yeah.
As they call it nowadays, the man cave.
My man cave, yeah. I'm gonna get a dartboard, put it up on the other door, and just.
This is it. Get a retro arcade machine, throw it in there.
I might. I got my little workout room back there. I got my laptop set up with the big green screen and all that good stuff. Yeah, for when I'm doing videos or Zoom calls, with the virtual background. But yeah, it's pretty plush. Pretty plush.
Yes, I remember the tour. I remember the initial tour when you got it. I think yes, excellent choice. Very good choice, and the space you've got in there as well is it's something. No, I wouldn't say. I mean, don't get me wrong. This little small island, the United Kingdom, has some very beautiful places in there, but the climate is not conducive to the van lifestyle.
Right.
It really is. I mean, we have generally like an autumn, spring generally, and winter, the majority winter, and then we'll have like sprinkles of summer, maybe a day or two, or maybe a week. If we're really lucky, we'll get like 2 weeks and stuff. So in a different country, I would really like to utilize or just experience it. And I've done the tent stuff. Like you did the soldier stuff back in the day, and that was an experience in itself. With all them damn creepy crawlies, those millipedes, centipedes, and that's something different. But again, it's an experience that if you haven't been through it, you can't take away the positives and the negatives. And all of these experiences that we go through as children and as adults help to create and fortify the people who we are today.
Yes.
So I think, especially for children and stuff, and even for adults, if you haven't done it, I would highly recommend going out in a tent, even if it's just for one day. Even if you just want to do it in your back garden. You know what I'm talking about,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that type of stuff, it builds character.
Yes.
Because we're all so dependent on society and the creature comforts that we all get to indulge in. And, from time to time, we need to just break away from that stuff and just, get back to nature to a degree, or, just kind of test ourselves out. Like a lot of people don't know what it's like to be hungry, like actually be hungry, So, I mean, certain situations come about where, I don't know if like anything happened, if anything like seriously bad happened to where the food supply was kind of damaged to some way or another, or a link in the food chain was broken.
Yes.
The food distribution was broken, then, people would suffer. And a lot of people don't know what it's like to be hungry. A lot of people don't know what it's like to be cold, actually. And, it just gives you a chance to, reconnect with who you are, or find out who you are, better yet.
Yes.
By putting yourself in those situations. So I think camping is actually a beneficial thing. Van life, it's something that a lot of people are actually getting into. It's becoming more popular. I've had people message me based on older videos about van life. They're like, "Hey man, you inspired me to go ahead and make the jump." I was like, "Dude, I was just putting myself out there as far as, people asking me questions about what it is. I didn't really set out to inspire anyone, but okay, cool. But you're going to save a lot of money, I can tell you that.
100.
Yeah,
And as you say, it's a massive, it's really big. I've seen it exponentially grow since I started seeing yourself doing it. Even before that, I've always looked at, maybe even in regards to the conversions when people get, a 3-panel Mercedes van, for instance, and convert that, spend a couple thou on that, put in a sink in it, a bed, and just the little designs. It's really interesting and creative to see how people actually make a home on 4 wheels.
Mm-hmm.
And just to see their progression and journey throughout the trials, the victories, and then actually ultimately utilizing it, actually getting out on the road and testing it and saying, you know what, for Mark II, I'm going to do a little different. I'm going to have maybe more storage in this area, or I'm going to lose this. It's
Yeah.
showing another side, and as you say, it's connecting self to potentially the real self.
Mm-hmm. And see, that was one of those things that I missed. That was one of those things that I missed, actually. My particular setup with that van, it was already made. It was already built to the specifications that I asked for, and it was the craziest thing. I had specifications in my head as far as how I wanted my van to be. I said in my head that I wanted it to have a lot of space for storage. I asked for, and I was just putting it out there. You could say put it out to the universe, or set your intentions however it goes. But I did it, and it worked out. So I said I wanted to have a solar panel, a kitchenette, lots of space for storage. I want to be able to stand up in there. Yeah, that's what I want. A couple of bench seats so I can use one for a bed and another one to like put stuff on or in.
Mm-hmm.
And oh yeah, and I want it to be exactly $5,000. That was in my head too, the price. And I went on the Craigslist and I found a van about 35 minutes away from where I was.
Wow.
That was exactly what I was asking for. And I figure all we have to do for the most part is just kind of put it out there, and things are just kind of shape up and work out. If you keep your intentions pure, if you stay focused on what you're looking for, I think things just work out like that. Whether it's good or bad, also.
Agreed. And I think some people might think that's a little wishy-washy, but if you really pay attention, pay attention to different words. Yeah. Pay attention.
Pay attention.
Don't just hear the words, listen. So it's about having the intention, whether good or bad, but also with that, it's backed up with works.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even that's in the Bible, it says faith without works is dead.
Death.
Straight up. So you can't just wish for things to go well and then not put the work in. Like any motivational speaker will tell you that. You can just sit around hoping for things to happen, but if you don't get off your butt and make something happen, then you're just gonna wake up and things are just gonna be the same that they were the day before and the day before and the day before. So you got to put your hands to work with your intentions also. But sometimes stuff will just pop up like that. Like I didn't have to work for that van to come up like that. I just had to go look for it, and I'm like, oh wow.
Hey, exactly don't sibling. Do not minimize the works. Listen, you had to physically labor in order to get that 5 wow number 1, right?
Yeah. There was that.
And then number 2, you then had to research, again 2 words, research, search, and then search again. Yeah. To then find Craigslist and then search again through that thing to then find your vehicle for so sibling. The works was already done, man.
There was a little work on my part. Well, there's another story. If I could go on like a 2-minute tangent about that type of thing. So, years ago, like back in 2015, I was into doing these physique competitions. I was like a bodybuilder.
Mm-hmm.
See the cuts through the shirt.
Let me
Okay.
see it, Reggie.
But
Let me see I put in work.
just a little something. Um, so I was doing these competitions, and I was getting ready to do this one competition that's local. It's like the venue's like maybe 3 miles away from where I am now. And I was in the gym, I was working out, and I was working really hard. And I would sit down and I would visualize. I would visualize myself on the stage. I would visualize myself winning the first place in my physique category, my height category, that is, and then winning first place overall. And I would just sit there on my recliner like for 15 minutes a night. Every evening I would just sit there and I would just close my eyes and I would visualize it and I would feel it.
Yes.
I would hear the guy calling my name, hear the crowd cheering for me. I would, feel myself picking, grabbing my trophy and all that stuff. And then I ordered my shorts, my red and black board shorts to go with that. So I think then I could visualize myself the way I was going to be dressed when all this happened. And I was like always in that scene, like night after night. And one of my supervisors came to me a few days before the competition. He said, "Oh, you got a competition coming up this weekend." I said, "Yeah." He said, "So how do you think you're going to do?" I said, "Oh, I'm going to win." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to win first place in my height category. Then I'm going to win first place overall. And then I'm going to be interviewed by the Northwest Guardian. That's this local newspaper."
Mm.
So the night of the competition, I was expecting this one guy from the year before to come back because he was like a ringer. So I'd been training hard actually to get my revenge on that guy because I thought he might show up. I was looking for Sam, but I had been doing like different competitions in the professional levels, like the year, like since that year, I'd done like 3 different professional competitions in preparation for that one.
Yes.
And I was mad at him the year before because he was a ringer and he had come in and just beat up all of us rookies. You know what I mean? So the competition comes around. I've been training. I'm looking around. I had done those competitions and now I'm back here where it all started. I'm like, okay, so where's this guy at? So, I get out there, my height category, I won first place. I was like, okay, cool. Got my little trophy. I was like, all right, that was sweet. That actually worked out. So, I'm backstage, I'm just kind of freaking out about having just won. I'm like, wow. And then they call us all back on stage after the other guys won in their height category. So it's me and 3 other guys on the stage, and I ended up taking first place overall. I was like, okay, that's crazy. I had my shorts on and all that was going on.
Hey, before as you continue, so
Yeah,
was this mirroring of sorts your experience that you visualized?
it happened, and I was interviewed by the guy from the Northwest Guardian when I was coming back from backstage. I was going back into the audience, and a guy catches me. He's like, "Hey, didn't you just win?" I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "Hi, I'm from the Northwest Guardian." I'm like, it was kind of crazy how all that happened. It happened exactly the way that I had visualized it and the way that I said it. So, you have to put your mind to it and then work on it. And yeah, stuff can happen like that. So
Another scripture, as a man thinketh, so it shall be.
there it was. There it was. That happened. That happened. It's real.
The
It's
power
real.
of the mind is uncalculable.
Mm-hmm.
I think, pardon self, being within this Western culture and civilization, sort of tantalized and mystified with all this technology and trinkets, should we say, we don't really fully get to go in and really get to the real roots and the raw essence of things. I think we're totally taken away from the fact that how powerful the mind is. I mean, people like those crazy hypochondriacs who
Hmm.
manifest sickness onto themselves.
Yeah. 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 I think that there's a lot of that going on these days. You know,
Oh yeah.
I don't even want to say the C word. Shoot. I mean, with this thing going around, and
The zombie apocalypse, I like to refer to it as.
oh man, I mean, you have to be half asleep to not see that the reports coming out from doctors that are already inside the industry saying, by the way, we're being pressured to mark things as COVID that aren't. You know, somebody has a heart attack and we're like, but he tested positive for COVID, so we're going to mark it as a COVID death. I'm like, wait a minute, the guy got hit by a car. We're going to call it a COVID death. I'm like, you know, it's weird how they're playing with the numbers. And there's been so many people coming out saying that they're you know, mixing up the numbers and all that, but yet still so many people believe it. There was actually a report that came out on one of the news stations here, one of the more popular news stations here, where it said as far as the flu cases from last year, they're down 95%. From last year. Like there was 1,265 or so cases of flu this time last year, and this year it's only 61. So flu cases are down 95% this year for some reason or another, but everybody's got coronavirus though. Coronavirus cases are spiking up, but flu, nah. I would contest that those people who have the flu are being diagnosed with having COVID.
Yes.
So that's again mixing the numbers. They're you know, cooking the books with this stuff just to make it seem like it's a lot worse than it really is.
Well, didn't the CDC come out and readjust their figures down to 6%?
They did, but that wasn't reported on the mainstream media. So a lot of people don't even know about it, and they're still, you know, everybody's still going along with it, just like, you know, like business as usual. Wear your mask, social distance.
Wear your mask. How comes you haven't got a mask on?
Dude. Oh, I got a mask. I should have brought it. Yeah, straight up. I got a Halloween mask. It's the Black Panther.
Okay. I've been thinking about it, you know, I've been really thinking about just doing something over the top, but you know what, D? I've been challenged twice as a yeah. And the first time I was challenged by a security guard. You know, I was walking into the store and he was like, oh, where's your mask? And you know, I politely said, you know, no, thank you.
Yeah.
No, your mask. I said, yeah, no, thank you. Just carried on walking. I said, look, I'm not even going to get into any kind of conversation, confrontation. I'm just going to say no, thank you, and keep on walking. I went back to the same place a few days later, and they've actually got someone stood at the door with the security guard, handing masks out, which I think is for the people, because you've got to think about for the sheeple who you know, feel that this is some kind of dummy, because that's what it is. I mean, it's a dummy for them, to pacify them, a pacifier, as you all would say, right?
Right.
So for people who don't have, you know, money, lots of money, how are they supposed to afford all of these masks? Because they're promoting that you should be wearing them all the time, basically at home, if you're driving in the car on your own, and you know, all this kind of stuff. So like, how do people afford to keep up with these masks?
I mean, they're putting them in the stores for cheap, you know. Yeah, they're putting them out there for cheap, and plus, you know, over here in the U.S., we the unemployed get an extra $600 a week, I believe.
A week?
I believe so. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it was 600 a week. I'm pretty sure it was 600 a week.
That's why I heard a lot of Americans complaining about people, you know, especially the unemployed who are, you know, receiving lots of money for not doing anything.
Yeah. So there's that, you know, so they're getting money for masks, no problem. And then they're like dirt cheap everywhere, and they got them right by the cash register just in case you don't have one or you need an extra one. They're like $1.75. Like, dude, I've been given a few masks because I'm not going to wear them. You know, I bought a couple masks, but they're Halloween masks, just so I can kind of thumb my nose at the people who actually believe it. They're like, Really, a Black Panther mask? I'm like, really? You think that little cloth mask is going to save you from a virus that supposedly escaped a level 4 medical facility?
In Wuhan, yes.
Yeah, yeah, a medical or a level 4
No,
viral lab,
was it
and
level
and it,
5?
oh, I'll just stop at 4. I don't know.
Okay.
It might have been level 5, but I'm saying you and it had to. This thing was developed in one of these labs and it escaped the level 4 lab, and you think that your little cloth mask is going to save you? You got to be freaking kidding me. So they're like, oh, you're not taking it seriously. I'm like, and obviously you are. And you know what, I haven't taken it seriously the whole time, and look at me, still alive.
This is
Haha.
it. Yeah. Bam, bam,
So
bam.
yeah, proof is in the pudding, buddy. you know
Exactly. I mean, at some point, but you know what? On a positive note,
hmm
a lot. I'm noticing this is positive and negative. So I'm seeing and well experiencing lots of people who I wouldn't consider, quote unquote, awake or woke, as the term is now. Um, expressing that this is all bullshit. This is absolute bullshit. What the hell are the governments of the world doing right now? They've got all of these questions, but unfortunately, where it stops is, oh yeah, yeah. So I've got all of these questions, and I think it's a big load of rubbish. But when I'm out shopping, I'll put my mask on.
Yeah, yeah. I believe that there's a vast majority of people who just don't want to deal with the craziness out of people who are totally bought in. You got in my head, I believe that there are three types of people. There's the people who aren't believing it and are refusing to wear a mask because it like doesn't make any sense. They're totally blowing it out of proportion. People are getting sick of the whole mask mandate, social distancing bull crap. It's obviously government overreach. So it's those people who are like, I'm not wearing a mask at all. There's the people who believe it, and they're the ones freaking out on people who don't wear masks, because they're constantly watching the news and they actually believe that they're doing honest reporting about important issues. They're not.
Mm,
And then you got your people that are kind of in the middle who know that it's bullshit, but they'll still go along with it just because they don't want to deal with the people in the other category who are totally bought into it. So they'll put on their mask and then they'll just, roll their eyes like, okay, whatever, and I've had to do that a few times. I travel, so I'll get on the plane and they're really militant, not in the airport. You can be in the airport, walking around with no mask on, and I'm just standing there in the middle, seeing everybody with their mask on, looking like, oh my God, it's like the zombie apocalypse. You bunch of ignorant, faceless morons. I'm just kind of mad at them. I'm not saying
yes.
that out loud though. I'm just looking like, you people look ridiculous. And then you got your people
Mm,
who, have their fashionable mask. You
yes.
got your one person that's super paranoid who has a mask on, and then they have the little plastic face shield also.
The visor
Dude,
thing.
seriously, there was this woman on a plane next to me one time. It's like middle of the night. I'm catching a red eye flight through the middle of the night, right? And this lady, she has on a mask and she has on the face shield and she's all bundled up like she is going to get it from somewhere. I'm like by the window. I pull my mask down so I can actually breathe while I'm sleeping, because we need oxygen. That's part of the
Yeah,
human condition.
exactly.
So I got my mask down and she taps me on my shoulder while I'm sleeping. Hey, can you pull your mask up? I'm like, you're not a flight attendant. You're a passenger. What are you touching me for? Did you just wake me up? Woman, I don't
Yeah.
know you. Dude, I was
Mm.
pissed. So I'm like, I just looked at her like, hold up. I was like,
Did you really do that?
yeah. I'm like, are you serious? No. So I like lean back over, I, keep my mask down. I'm like, man, shut up. This chick pulls her phone out, turns the flashlight on, and then flashes it on me. And then she
What?
calls the flight attendant. And then the flight attendant comes over. By the time the flight attendant comes over, I pull my mask up. I'm like, I don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, man, play the game,
Yeah,
sibling.
I was like, well, I don't know what her problem is. Like, what? My mask is.
Is she
I was
okay?
like,
Is she
I was like,
okay?
this I was like, can you stop her? She's bothering me while I'm trying to sleep. Okay, I don't know what her problem is. Just totally flipped the script on her. And then she ultimately got up and she moved somewhere else because she was afraid that I was going to infect her for some reason or no. I'm like, lady, please.
Well, as per you've highlighted, if everyone is to belie everything that they hear on the teli
Yeah,
vision, then Hispanics and people who have got melanin are the plague, basically.
yeah,
We're the ones who are dying the most,
yep.
and all this stuff. So, yeah, she's supposed to be scared,
And she
man.
was a sister though. That
Oh, what?
yes, that's the part that killed me. I was like, lady, I was like, sis, what are you talking about? Didn't you hear?
Oh
Didn't
my
you hear
God.
the CDC put it out that only what they say, less than 10,000 people have so-called
Mm.
died of this virus. They cooked the books. The CDC actually put it out there. What are you talking about? But you know, she's been watching CNN. That's one of the local fear mongering stations here in the U.S. But yeah, it's
Well, aren't Fox on the same kind of promoting the same rhetoric? I
no,
think. I
no,
think. Oh, no.
no. Actually, here, let me see. Fox put out something the other day, and I actually put up another video. Not on my YouTube, just another video that they put out. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see if I can find this
That's
thing.
interesting then. If
Ah,
they're well, to be fair, usually they try to be opposites of each other, don't they? CNN and Fox.
yeah, they try, but let me see. Where is this? Okay, yeah. So what they put on Fox was well, that's the numbers I told you, 1,251,
Yes.
and then flu cases down
Wow.
61%. Yeah, that's Fox News that did that one. So I put that up on my Instagram, and people were like, huh, that's interesting. I'm like, yeah, isn't
Yeah.
it? Isn't it though?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah,
You s-
I know, I know that.
I mean, like, it's just apparently, there's only one source of information, and it's whatever you choose to whether if it's CNN, if it's BBC. I'll tell you what, over here, the news is we don't have like all we have is propaganda. That's what our television stations are.
That's what
BBC
ours are.
1 through to 5, channel was it ITV 1 through to whatever the hell they've got, channel
Mhm.
4 1 to whatever they've got, and then channel 5. The only difference is BBC is the main, is the old school one. That's where we have to pay our license fee. So they're a lot more heavy with the propaganda kind of thing.
Mhm.
But everyone's saying the same shit. Wear your
Yeah.
mask. Don't
Wait a
don't
minute.
don't mingle. Whatever you do, don't mingle. But to kickstart the economy, what we want you to do is to go out to restaurants and to pubs, um, and we want you to go shopping again. But you've got a social distance and don't have anybody from anybody else's house come to your house. But if you want to go to the pub and have a pint with them, that's all gravy with a whole load of different folk that you don't know. That's all peace.
It's ridiculous. I mean, this is not suitable for people with common sense. That's what I'm saying. That's what it boils down to. Like, okay, if masks work, then why are businesses closed down? If masks don't work, then why do we have to wear them? I'll just leave it there. I mean, it's two questions to ask about masks, right there, and that just kind of sums it up. You're like, wait a minute, mask work. Okay, so we shouldn't have to close business down
Yeah.
in theory.
Well, you said it. You said something, and I've highlighted this for quite some years now. Common meaning, yeah.
It's
It's around, it's everywhere pretty much. It's the majority, and then sense. So when we put those two things together, it's like that's not even possible. There is no such thing currently
no,
since the 20th century as common sense. There's only sense now.
yeah,
And only few people have the ability to mold situations and absorb information and utilize sense and critically think. He's been beaten out of the popular sibling.
Yeah, pretty much, and I mean, people rely on the government to do their thinking for them. And that's something that I spent a lot of time trying to get people to step away from. Like, just because these people have on lab coats, or because they have on suits, or because they have letters behind their name, or because they have a piece of paper framed up on a plaque hanging on their wall, that does not mean that they're telling you the 100% truth, and that they can't be bought by the authority and give you BS information. And a lot
Well,
of people will just go along with it because, that's the experts, and they don't want to think on their own. So they'll let the smart people do all the thinking for them.
mm,
And that's where a lot of society is. And it's kind of sad, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't listen to professionals. You shouldn't listen to the subject matter experts in any field. But if it doesn't match up with common sense, if there's conflicting information out there at the same time, then maybe you should be a little skeptical about it.
well, what happened to just questioning things? Like a child. You know what the wonderful thing about children, up until
Mm,
until they've gone through the schooling system,
mm.
you, a child will always say why,
Why?
or what, or
Yep.
how,
Hmm.
well, how, where,
Yeah.
what, who.
Why? Why? But why?
There's a constant search for edification, constantly, and as I've alluded to previously, it's that band of opportunity and knowledge and innocence, which is like everywhere. It's beaming everywhere. It's a huge light. It's become a narrow band of just wanting to fit in.
Mhm.
How does everybody look? How does everybody sound? How does everybody think? That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be an individual. I mean, when we were growing up, the thing was to be unique, to be different. I mean, don't get me wrong, there was still people who wanted to still be, like everybody else kind of thing. But generally, people wanted to stand out from the group, that customize things, that,
Yeah.
remember the days when you used to do your graffiti on your trainers and
Oh, yeah, yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. That was always fun. You know, write your name, put little designs on and all that. Yeah,
That's it, man. I mean, that kind of stuff now goes for big money. That's like the fashion now, the stuff we were doing back in the day.
it's true. It's true. That's very true. Cause I mean, I saw, man. There was a rap video I did recently, and
Yes.
and my man Will, King Seven, he got a pair of shoes that this guy had like customized with these different designs and all that. And I mean, the shoes were like $250, but the shoes by themselves, without all the extra designs, were like maybe 50,
Mm.
70 maybe. But all the custom artwork on them just increased the value like 3 times fold. So
Exponentially, and
yeah,
depending on who's doing the artwork, they can go up to 1,000 sibling for them custom Air Forces, or whatever you want to have customs. There's someone who will
yeah,
put their which I think is an excellent um business model for somebody.
yeah,
Whatever the market will bear ultimately.
right, absolutely. Ah, shoot. You know what? We gotta do this another time. We gotta link up again because my lunch break is almost over.
No problem at all, sibling. No problem at all. Listen, social medias, man. How can the siblings get a hold of you?
I'm D Marble on YouTube. On Twitter, I'm at D Marble1. On Instagram, I am D_Marble_FE. Facebook, Darrye Marble, DarryeMarble. You can find me on any of those places, and shoot me a friend request, a follow, or however it goes. And we're all having
Excellent.
fun.
Definite. Honest sibling, honest.